I feel a little bit like I want to give myself a stern talking to. I spent all day putting off making this video, and I thought I knew what I wanted to make this video about, and I did. I just tried telling myself not to because I spent a really long time making something else that had some really lovely moments, and it was a lovely video, and in fact, there's nothing wrong with it whatsoever. I would call it launchable, just like a tiny few little edits here or there. Um, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's got the giggles. It's just not right. It wasn't the right time because I tried skipping this video. And this video has to happen for a whole bunch of reasons. We'll kind of get to that later on, either during or after the video. But there's just some things that I gotta say, and it's more important to say the things that I need to say than it is to say the things that I think I should want to say. Now, I don't know exactly how it's all going to come about, because there's let's say, being giggly and having fun about my idea of being part of a harem of boys belongs in one sphere of video. That's a style of video, or for lack of a better term, I guess. And the video which I scrapped belonged to that category of videos. But there's other stories that also need to be told of me. So that's where we're headed. I don't know exactly what we're in store for. I know where we're going to begin, which is I want to talk about my experience with my visual novel work, but in a way that's different than, say, like the developer logs I've done in the past, and certainly different than the standard video logs that I've done where I'm just like talking about what I have going on. Because I had a very distinct moment the first time I thought I was done with my visual novel obligation. So I'll give just like for a minute or two run in on what that work looks like, and then I'll catch you up on speed about the night that it meant so much to me. Like when I finished the work, so what the work was quickly, and then why I was impacted by the work, and then we'll kind of go on from there. And it's this other part here that is really important to get into, because that's a lot of the things that I need to be able to say to then be able to continue the channel in good conscience and in absolute full health, so that we can go forward and just be happy little boys together. But we have to do this first, so let's get to it. All right, to get us up to speed with my visual novel work real quick. Cliff Notes version. Shoot, Phineas, keep this one quick. Ended up being part of this artist's Patreon because I like his art a lot. And then turned out from there he has a visual novel that he's been working on solo. And so I volunteered in on just like, hey, do you need help with the English version of that? Because I can be pretty good with words. And he's like, actually, yeah, that would be great. I would love help with that. And then I forgot that I said that. And then 2 months later went by and he's like, hey, so what's up? And I was like, oh shit. And so then anyway, after it was a scramble and I finished my part of it, I thought. And then there was actually a part I forgot, which is silly because it was the sexy part that I forgot. Point being, it's all done now, and we're all caught up, and I finished the main body of the work, and I thought that was it, because I didn't notice that there was also like the add-on Patreon only adjustment that I also had agreed to fix, and so it's all better now, we're very happy. But in that main body of work, there were 3 lines in particular that were just arduous. I would look them up specifically, but I don't want to lose the chain, the role that I'm on. This video's taken long enough for me to put off making in the first place. I don't need another excuse to interrupt it. It's just time very much to will tell you about the lines. But it was, so in the large, something like 2, 3, maybe 1,000 lines of story, basically, for this visual novel. That was rough translation, so I accepted a volunteer position as a translation editor for that. And there were a great many number of small changes, periods here, there, spellings. You have to change phrases around because of just how the different languages are. But a few lines required big enough changes, and those I left on a separate little pad about why. Like, I left different notes specifically for if it's a really big thought that I had to change more than just a few words. I left notes about what that change is and why I made a bigger change in that line. And there was a cluster of 3, pretty early into the story actually, 3 lines right back to back, Oh, goodness gracious. I think across the 3 lines, there were 2 to 4 idioms which didn't translate. There were so many commas, and then thoughts were disjointed within those. So I think you had, oh gosh, so many different tricks of speech, and I think there was a little bit of foreshadowing put in there also, because it read a little bit odd anyway. So it's like, okay, so I'll just come back, and then after I figure out what that's setting up, I'll know more. And then I did what it was setting up, and I came back, and it's like, oh no, that's just a travesty. And let's see, it talked about if you lived in the hot region, like they were some extreme, like just challenging lines to figure out what is being said, what needs to be said, what was the author's intent versus what get lost in translation, and trying to figure out those 3 lines in particular. Those were rough customers, and they were the last thing I actually did for that editing translation work that I volunteered for, because I swept through the whole document and then I went through to find the pieces that were going to cause me problems. Or like, so I went back to them and they still sucked. They were just rough lines to edit. Oh, and I will tell you actually, since I don't have ready on hand, I'll 1 sec. All right, so I pulled it up right here. Actually, I don't know if I feel like editing or not this video. It might be on the screen right now, it might not be. So I had to add in a filler line of speech that didn't make sense in context. Oh yeah, and then in one of these lines, I had to take out about half of the words, introduce AM instead of that when it wouldn't normally go there. Basically, all I wanted to say is there were a few lines in here that were really arduous, and I'm deeply confident and pleased with how I ended up with that piece of translation work being done. It is not something that I think a lot of people would have been able to do, and I'm really confident with what was said in context, what the intent was behind the lines, how I received that intent through broken English, and then how to translate that into what the lines mean in English moving forward. And to the point where it's just small talk, how do you make small talk that still fits within the stories and like the voice of the characters? And those 3 lines were really hard to deal with. So when I had finished the work, and then I had to go back and fix those 3 lines, and the context of what they were setting up didn't help very much at all. They were just rough. But I had this most immense sense of, job well done. And you're going to feel that way anyway after you've been really stressed about an obligation, and then anytime you do that, then things get freed up. That's so great. But this was more than just, oh, I feel so free now because I did, I finished an obligation. That's great. And namely, it's important to walk you through a stark, quick little moment here. Because I had those 3 lines which were challenging, and I thought, I'll see what the context is, what they're setting up, I'll do the rest of the document, I'll come back to them later after I know more information. I came back to them later, it didn't really help, and they were the last things to do. So I was like, okay, well then fine, I just got these lines, they're crunchy, let's just hit it and see what I can do now, only using my knowledge that I have of language and the English words. We're just going to take these and we're going to do it. And what followed was perhaps 10 to 20 of just the most linguistic pop in, what's being said here, okay, that's confusing, that's confusing, that's confusing, you've got these clauses, these reduce, and then you're swapping things around and abstracting ideas. And if someone says a hot region city, what does that mean? And clearly like a location that's hot, but if you're bringing up, oh, if you lived in a hotter location, that's a hotter day, you're talking about temperature, and so abstracting that into warm weather, like it just required a couple of leaps, that's all. And I was really pleased that when the time came to come to a solution, a challenging I was faced with the challenging puzzle of linguistics, and I was able to solve that in a way which pleased me, in a time frame which pleased me, in a way which I am confident not many other people would have. And that is a particular skill. We're starting to get to what I wanted to talk about in the first place. That skill of taking broken English, doing the best I can with it, and doing a good job with it, to turn it into what it needs to be to keep the heart intact, is a particular skill. And I was able to put it to good effect, and it was lovely to see, and you love to see that. But it was, and I have to admit, some also of what brings such a poignant feeling to this moment is as I left the bar, oh goodness gracious. I'm trying to power through it. And I don't think that's going to be completely right for this moment. Dang it. Okay, 1 second. I'm working on it. Because a song came on my bicycle ride home right after finishing that work that I was really pleased with, where my linguistic skills had taken me and my capabilities. And in order to understand language and how to put words together to carry across an emotional message, you have to have a pretty keen understanding of emotions. And that's the sort of stuff I love. That's why I'm into words, why I have been making videos. I've been an author in the past, and all of that is trying to learn what it is to communicate emotionality. So I had a very stark, like, yes, still got it, baby. I know how to do words. I can do emotionality. We're very pleased. And then immediately a song came on that has a lot of emotional meaning to me. It was Pink Floyd's "Wish You Were Here." And we'll just go to it. So this is officially going to become not the video you expected it to be. But it's important to convey the fullness of these expressions. So here we go, guys. There was someone really close to me who died about 10 years ago or so. And so Pink Floyd's song, How I Wish You Were Here, and the powerful anthem there, we're just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl year after year, running over the same old ground. And have you found the same old tears, same old fears? How I wish you were here. Something like that. Anyway, that song came on. Yeah, sure, fuck it. That song came on, and I recognized a very stark moment where any time prior to about 4 nights ago when I finished that visual novel work, it's that whole thing where I would absolutely undo anything in the past 10 years to live that life that did have a trajectory and that once was going to be a future. And years and years and years and years later, nothing would. It was inconceivable that anything in this life could make up for what that life was and had potential to become. Which is, I think, just pretty standard sentiment, unfortunate for dealing with really heavy loss. But either that's a place you can't come out from or not easily, and at the very least, don't, linger on to regret. It's been long enough. Things are okay. But I acknowledged just a handful of days ago that my emotional prowess combined with my natural ability for words were able to help some guy. I think he lives in Taiwan. I'm not actually even sure. So one guy has one dream for making his visual novel that I volunteered on, and he had help doing some more proofreads for night 1, and then I came on for night 2 when his other guy, there was a problem there. And then I also helped out a little bit extra with the not safe for work route. And it isn't that I was able to help one person's vision come true or his project come to light and help it be what it can be. That does feel very good. But the more remarkable thing is how ultimately relatively easy it was. Of, a twist of the wrist and the really complex lines turned into great. And it's not like great American writing over here. I mean, I didn't even write it. I just did some editing work on it. But it feels really good to be at a twist of the wrist and the words fall into place moment and really work I'm proud of. I would go to bat with that. There's more work I could have done on the translation work, but in particular also when I'm launching a YouTube channel or have had launched, I'm maintaining, and I'm working on so many projects and things, and then also to be doing this, and then also just flick of the wrist, here you go. I'm really proud of that work. And recognizing myself to be in the position where I can, on occasion, flick my wrist and the words fall where they need to go, and ain't no thing, baby, but whatever those 3 lines were, just, we'll sort that out. And that's kind of a fun swagger to have, that confidence in my way with words, but then also seeing it backed up. But just okay, well then just me, my knowledge, these lines, here we go, let's figure it out. Boom, baby, it's done. And I'm kind of excited to see what else I can do with that ability for words and ways to express emotionality. And I said in a video recently, it was called Phineas Former proudly presents the worst video he'll ever make. That video is a delight, sorry. But I said I want to be an emotion caster. I didn't know what that meant. Still don't. I don't think it means anything at all. But I think it has something to do with about 4 nights ago when I finished that visual novel work. Something emotional is being said, even in small talk between characters, and it wasn't only small talk, but there's an emotion is being conveyed in this scene, or then even if it's just literally 2 people, anytime that they're talking, something's trying to be conveyed. And being able to get on in there and just tweak around a few words and clean up that little bit of communication there, that's not just words at that point, that is a deeply emotional endeavor. I recognized how pleased I am with the progress I've made on that front. I recognize that it's hard for a lot of people to do. And that's just, I'm not even trying to, it's not like I'm in a unique and special position, because other people can do it. It's just that I also can do it, and I don't think it's a common thing to be able to do. And I'm excited to see where it goes. Now, I want to be very clear and blunt for just a second, and then probably we'll move on to something that's a little bit more not that. But 4 days ago marked the first time ever that I am more excited about what's possible than I am lamentful over what is no longer possible. with a life I once lived and a future I once had, versus now there's a future that's possible with this skill set I've honed and developed. And I'm curious to see what else can be done. And the thing is, I'm not really a gambling kind of a man to some extent, but playing percentages smartly is not really gambling at that point. Like the house wins, which is why gambling is bad. But if you're the house, you love gambling. And so I try to be really smart with the odds I make, and I just make really bad decisions all of the time somehow anyway, and it's astonishing to me. But I would never like, oh, well, there's a chance life's going to be really great, so you never know what's going to happen. It's like, yeah, no, I'll still go back to, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say there, based on what I know and what I have and what I'm capable of doing and what I have done and am currently doing and what I have planned on the way, there's a high probability that something pretty cool is going to happen. I've already been feeling that way. And then like YouTube's been taking off a little bit more, which feels really super cool. And I've been working on a few other partnerships a little bit and collaborations and learning more about where I'm comfortable and where I just like to be. And that's more of a surefire place. That's a good stance. Like that's a good life to have the physical means to be able to pull off what I need to have the gear to express myself the way that I need to for the work that I have designed myself to do. Yeah, I struggle with making a lot of connections in the real world, but not as much as I think that I do. And there's just a final leg of communication. Like I can get to be acquaintances with people very, very well. It's just after you take it further than that, like I don't know how to do that. But I'm learning, and so far, I mean, preliminary reports suggest that things are going very well, and I would not want to mess that up. Which is to say that for the first time in like over 10 years, and what I'm trying really hard not to say right now is I'm in a position as of about 4 days ago, 5, I think. No, 4. Tuesday night. Wednesday night. So yeah, 4 days. Which is to say that 4 days ago marks actually a tipping point where the love for what I do rivals the love I have felt in the past and the aspirations and things I have planned for the future to me feel so grand as to rival a previous life I also once envisioned. That's not something I ever thought could happen. I thought having kids would be close to rivaling that sensation, or would. I think it would, actually. It's just that that's not really on my docket. The world is a challenged place right now. I don't need to add small children into it, and I don't think I would be the best father. That's actually not true. I think I'd be an okay father, but why is this going in the video? And it was a powerful enough sensation that I took a good couple days distance just to think about it. We're going to think about this. We're going to calibrate for a little bit here because that was pretty big. I followed through on some volunteer work on a visual novel while I've been working on other ways of expressing myself and figuring out what it's like to be comfortable with myself. And accidentally had this massive realization that things are actually going oddly not bad. They're going suspiciously happy. They are that, dude, really, I'm busy. Meh. Hands. That they're going well. And it makes me really excited for what's coming up, which I was already a little bit excited for anyway, but I didn't realize the gravity of my excitement and then how monumental it is to actually just allow myself to be that excited in the first place. I haven't looked forward to a future for a decade. I Arm, yeah, I sure agree, Arm. I feel exactly the same way. I don't really think that's what you're supposed to. Wow, really upset tracking there. Okay. I don't really think that's. I will move the camera position. What happened to you? But that's just one heck of an emotional space to be in. I think we can appreciate that. That's a heck of an emotional space to be in. And over time, I've gotten to be pretty good like you do. This is not like a, oh, look what how Phineas Former can. It's like, no, this is just a very standard layer of human operations. You get to be pretty good about not caring so much about emotional like hardships or burdens. Like everyone's got baggage, everyone's got things going on inside of their head. So you don't really hold on to those things super preciously, but it seemed very important to give myself the service of being seen and allow others the service of knowing more about what's going on underneath the hood. Because I can pull this off, and more is on the way, baby. Hoo boy, there's a lot on the way. Gosh, and I think this video might actually end up being a double feature. Is it? Oh no, I probably this one just stands on its own. I don't know. I suppose part of why I wanted to bring all of this up in the first place is because it feels really cool when, I make a silly dorky video about, say, like my little harem, and a whole bunch of people are like, oh, what, that's so cool, and really cute laugh, and really fun storytelling, and a lot of really nice comments. Like, you guys are super duper cool, and I appreciate all of the things that you guys are saying, and that you liked my silly harem story video, and there's going to be plenty more of that family of video, more giggle, more Phineas Former, I have an unfortunate suspicion. I don't know if I actually want to share it with you or not, because you'll get it. You'll get it soon. But there's some good things on the way, is what I'm trying to say. And sometimes the timing is a lot, I suppose, because pretty much right when I realize, like, oh wow, I'm actually pretty content and I like where things are headed, and that's brand new for me. And then that's also pretty much exactly the right time that a lot of more people on YouTube were saying hi, and that's really fun too. So hello, but also I wanted to make sure that we all knew a little bit more about what this means to me, where I stand in relation to what I do, where I stand in relation to myself, stuff like that. So, yeah, that's the video. Hope you liked it. There's more too, but I think that's gonna be good for this one. I think that's good. Yeah. Hi everyone. Thanks for being here. That's super duper cool. What? A little bit awkward, but super duper cool. And one factor which does absolutely exist is feeling a little bit like you want to keep up the good work or have a consistent flow of content, and the content that you do produce has a consistent flow. Yeah, I said that right. Which brings about a strange amount of pressure that I hadn't quite anticipated, because you want it to be a good video for the sake of people who are watching the video, not only for myself to make a good video. Never mind that it's hard to impossible to know what's going to be a good video, but I think I know what makes a good video for me. Like, what makes a good Phineas Former video? I think I'm getting it down. And I have challenge with that. The implications of it astound me. I don't like it because it feels we'll get there together. And I do like it. I was being silly when I said that I don't like it. I do like it, but it seems curious. Because it could be that what makes a good Phineas Former video is Phineas Former. Okay, I'm with you so far. So the more Phineas Former you apply to a video, the better it is. If the only metric for success was how Phineas Former is this video. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, it's okay. No, no. It can't be. Because if it no. Okay, guys, get it out for crying out loud. Because if every video was just Phineas Former, and the more Phineas Former you apply to a video, the better it is. I'm having a hard time even looking at myself right now as I say that. It stands to reason that just apply additional Phineas Former, and that's what I looked at myself again. Okay, I'm not even kidding. That's actually a really hard thing to do right now. Let me get this out. If a good Phineas Former video includes more Phineas Former, as a general trend, which seems to be what's happened thus far, is typically speaking, a video which includes more Phineas Former tends to do better than a video which is more drawl and doesn't have as much of my own personality. The more personality that I bring into a video, the better it goes, typically speaking, because it could be the case that what makes a good Phineas Former video is Phineas Former. So for the next couple of videos, I'm going to be trying that out. Here's the thing. I've tried really, really hard to not do that thing. Because I would rather have, maybe, a programming channel, or a Resonite channel, or like a VR channel, and a channel where it's like, oh, is that really a Phineas Former video? I don't really know. And I'm trying to learn more, and that's part of why I'm trying to title things really clearly so people know when they come into a video what are they going to be able to expect. And is this a programming video, or is this one of the videos where I exchange an odd psychological concept of mine? Or one where I'm like, it's an activity video and I'm throwing sound cubes around, or whatever. Because I've known it's going to be a variety channel for a little bit, I guess. And for some reason that causes me strife. Because if the metric of success for a Phineas Former video is how much Phineas Former is in it, how much of just my personality did I bring to the table. And one of my personal favorite videos, by the way, is the Resonite primer I made. Because I just like talking about Resonite, and I was really happy with that primer, so I made a video about it, and that's one of the videos that I've watched the most, is just because I'm really happy with how that one came out, because it was just a video I wanted to make. That should have been my first clue that something was going on here, something was going very wrong. And by very wrong, I mean very right, but listen to what I'm saying. If it is the case that the more videos I make that are just what I have interest in, and videos that I want to do, and I allow myself to do those things unabashedly, and I bring as much Phineas Former into a video as is warranted by the video, and if it's my channel and it's me, there you go. It could be the case that any video about any subject matter could be a successful video if it includes sufficient amounts of Phineas Former. The reason this challenges me is because, or the reason I find challenge with this is because no man should have that much power. Am I truly in the prime and unique position to be able to make a video about anything? Anything. Anything. And if I'm just excited enough as a presenter, if I am sufficiently Phineas Former about it, then people are like, what? Oh my god, Phineas Former. He's such Phineas Former. He's the he's the formiest. He's the guys, no. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. And because of what I said in the harem video, right? About how I find the most meaning in things which are inherently quite meaningless. Because putting all of your belief in it and just be like, actually guys, this is what's really cool. It's just fun to do. It's fun to do. So if I just do that about anything though, and make a video about anything, but apply enough of me, Phineas Former, into it, and if that's what makes an enjoyable experience, both for other people, but then also for myself, because I also enjoyed the harem video a suspicious amount. The number of times I've watched it at work, and then I told myself, hey, by the way, don't watch this at work. I was like, don't tell me what to do. Me. And the video happened to be 10 minutes long, and that's how long my break was at work, and it's so good. And I will admit that there's a chance that actually no, I won't admit that there's a chance. Was whether the video is about a harem or not. Like it's and not like, oh, it started, it's happening, but it is a little bit. Whatever that even means. It's like there will be more harem video when there's an update on that, and there's not an update on that front right now. There will be. Absolutely there will be. And there's going to be more like Resonite videos on the way, and more, someone asked a question about what my VR equipment is. That's going to be on the way. I have so much just great video ideas on the way and things I'm really excited to talk about. I'm really excited about making Skyrim videos. And there's a lot of different things I have cooking, right? And the idea that all I would really have to do, theoretically, is apply sufficient amounts of me into one of those videos for it to be a Phineas Former video. That feels way too easy. I don't care for that one bit. There's a problem, though, is I kind of agree. I see the logic behind it. I find, and I have for a very long time, I have found bears to be majestic. And not just bears, really, like just animals in general, and I find animals majestic. I don't know if that's something that you could tell about me, but I do. But the reason bears in particular, and I don't even know why it stuck to me so much, but I love the idea. How long is this video, by the way? Oh, it's about time for this video to be done. We'll go fast. For some reason, I think maybe I choose bear because it's a big, lumbering bear. But if you see a bear that's like scratching his back on a tree, it's like, what are you doing, you crazy bear? And then it goes and does something different, and it like fishes for salmon or something, I guess. And it's like, bear, what even are you up to right now, you crazy bear? And a bear doesn't have anxiety about like, oh gosh, should I go have salmon, or should I go scratch my butt on the tree? What should I do? I'm a bear and I have anxiety. No, bears don't do that. Bears are just bears. And I want to see a bear that is just as bear as possible. Like, you go, bear. You go get the honey. You go live your very best life. Oh, bear. I think of bears a lot, but then also one of my more favorite memories is the time that I went to the San Diego Zoo on my own, because I just took a solo road trip because I had to like just get like, it was like 10 years ago over that, but I went to a place where I didn't know anyone, and just in a struggled headspace. And I went to where the snow leopard was, and I just looked at it for like an hour. Just weird guy at the zoo on his own, just looking at the leopard, and the leopard was like, what? I don't even think it noticed me. I don't think it cared. It certainly didn't care whether it noticed me or not. But there's a majestic thing to it. Like, animal in nature, not really going to be super worried about its actions. Is it doing the right thing? It's just doing its thing. Sometimes a bear fishes for salmon. Sometimes a leopard ignores a guy at the zoo, I guess. But in nature, I find such majesty behind critters being critters. That's really fun. And I like looking at animals. I like looking at ants a lot because it's just critters being critters. And I was like, what is going on inside of that little universe of ants? Or it's a universe of whatever. Just, I love seeing people do what they do, and I love seeing animals be what they be. It's really great stuff, right? I've always loved that. So, it stands to reason, ladies and gentlemen, that if I put myself into a virtual, fish tank or whatever with a little box that you can watch me on, and I just be as Phineas Former as possible, that I, not only as Phineas Former, an enjoyer of himself, and and I do enjoy myself quite frequently, that I would come to enjoy my own content. But it wouldn't be content necessarily, because I don't think you can look at a bear and be like, okay, bear, hurry, and do the bear things. It's just always doing the bear things. So, to the same extent, if a Phineas Former video is successful because you apply sufficient Phineas Former to it, but you can't give direction to a bear and tell it to do the bear things, it's always just being a bear. And so ideally you would catch the bear when it's doing bear things that are really cool, and it's not having anxiety about what it's doing, it's just being a bear. So you would put a camera on Phineas Former, not give him directions about what to do, and he'll just be Phineas Former doing the thing. And the more Phineas Former he is, you'll be like, what? Yes, Phineas Former, he's doing the Phineas Former thing on the magic box that we can watch him on. So here's the thing. I might be onto something here. I kind of hope that I'm not. But I might be. And I suppose this is not something that I imagined of me. And I'm not talking like YouTube or views or like, is this in like the future, or like just the system I described, putting on VR equipment to specifically not have a purpose, and just this. Borderline, this video had no content. Borderline. And I kind of think that might be more important than like, oh, what is the video going to be today? It's like, Bear's not thinking about that shit. Bear's just doing its bear thing. And so sometimes if a Phineas Former just comes on and does his little Phineas Former thing, it looks like this too. And I don't know what to do with that. And I like it, but I don't, and it feels weird, but it feels really cool. But also I'm new to this, so being Phineas Former is just like, That's it. That's the video. I thought this was going to be like a way bigger video, but that was back when I thought I knew what I was doing. But I think now maybe I just kind of would rather acknowledge that I don't know what I'm doing. But if you're confident in not knowing what you're doing, you know what you're doing. Bye.